Welcome to the Raising Autistic Disciples podcast. My name is Lara Roberts. I'm so excited for today's conversation with my friend Courtney Moody from Acts of Sourdough. Hello, sister friend.
Hello. So happy to be here.
Hey, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. Hey, I just want to know anything and everything you got. First off, hold on a second. Wait, hold on. You know what? I want you to introduce yourself. Go ahead and do that. I need to find something really quick. Who are you, Courtney? What do you do? Tell me about things.
Well, I'm Courtney. I founded and am the creator of Acts of Sourdough, which is a sourdough page. It is all about like cooking from scratch, doing something that you love in the kitchen, brings your family together. I'm really inspired by my own family, and I created a page that hopefully inspires other families. I have a 9-year-old son, Tanner. He's on the spectrum, and it has been the driving force behind my business is his eating habits, really cultivating a healthy relationship for food for him and cultivating a healthy family relationship with him, and to just make him so empowered in the kitchen and feeling safe at home. And he is really the driving force behind anything I do food related. Even if he doesn't eat a single thing, it's always just so encouraging and humbling to be his mom. So that is who I am. I'm married and I've got 3 kids. And it's the joy of my life.
I love it. I love it. And so, okay, let's talk sourdough for a second.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
I can do that.
Okay, let me give you a little bit of history here. All right, so about 2 years ago, this was probably right in the, we got Graham's diagnosis almost 6 years ago, so it was probably 3 years after. I love doing things with my hands. Like I love creating and things like that. And so a couple of friends, right, we're on the sourdough journey, and they're like, hey, Lara, you should really, start making sourdough. Well, I know in the back of my head, I have a lot of aspirations in life. I have a lot of I'm an idea person. I'm a dreamer kind of thing. I knew in the back of my head, that sounds fun, but I know when somebody else, like friends told me, hey, you should garden, I knew how that ended, that I cannot keep anything alive. I knew that at this point we had just, sad story, but just had to give back a precious little puppy, because what were we thinking?
Right. No, I'm on that same boat with you.
Bernie, what were we thinking? And I looked at Colin, my husband, and I was like, we said yes to another heartbeat to take care of. So sad day, gave puppy back. He was also a beagle. I know enough about, breeds and things. I'd like to know, why did we get a beagle? I have no, we don't hunt. Anyway, and so he yelped all night long. But anyway, not happening. So I go on this journey with friends of like, hey, you should start sourdough. And I did okay for about...
It doesn't have a heartbeat, so that's all right.
That's true.
But no heartbeat.
Well, okay, but I could not... Maybe I was putting too much stress on myself. I don't know. But okay, sister friend, here's the deal. I was rolling through your reels, and I think this is a recent one. Okay, but I laughed absolutely hysterically out loud. You're gonna have to explain one thing to me.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to put this on. Okay.
Since last year, repeat after me. It is not dead. Do not throw it away. I'll show you how to use it in my new episode of Table Ready Sourdough, where we're making sourdough discard tortillas. That gray liquid on top is just hooch. It's a sign of fermentation.
Okay.
It's hooch, babe. That's what it is.
Okay, sister. Okay, what is hooch, and why should I
ask? Is the verbiage? You know what I think is funny too? I think the verbiage with sourdough, like it can be so intimidating. Like you feed a starter, and then there's hooch, but it's not mold, and the whole thing is, I don't know. It kind of goes over my head as someone who doesn't even have a college degree. I'm like, why am I doing so much science every day willingly? But yeah, it's just a sign of fermentation. I actually posted that reel 2 days ago. No, probably even yesterday, I think. But yeah, it's a starter that's been in your fridge for a long time. It's not mold. You dump it out. I did a sound effect in that video while I was doing the voiceover, and it was like a gagging sound effect, but I was like, no, better not. No. So then I just called it hooch, and I moved on from that. But I was like, because it freaks me out too. I'm actually eating fermented garlic right now. My husband hates it. I smell like an Italian restaurant foreclosure. But I have been doing so many fermentation things and projects that I don't know. You just got to it's called hooch. I don't know who made it up. Again, I never graduated college, so I'm not really sure.
You just remove the hooch and you walk on, right?
Dump the hooch and then you make the tortillas.
That's so much. Okay, well, thank you for teaching me that today. That is, I love it. I love it. Okay, so, and I'm going to, by the time this podcast airs, I'm going to try.
I trust that you will.
I try. So if you, and you have on your Instagram, but what's the top advice for the beginner rookie about to try?
I love to specialize in rookies because if I literally moved into our house and had 2 ovens, and I looked at my husband and I was like, what am I going to do with 2 ovens? And then I taught myself how to bake bread before I ever taught myself how to cook. So I literally couldn't even boil pasta. My college roommates, they were talking about how it's so funny because like somehow I would get cereal wrong. Like I couldn't cook for the life of me. So if I could bake bread first, anybody can do it. And I would say you start with a starter. We have a pretty foolproof starter. And then you just make really good loaves. And then it's like riding a bike because it is a little bit of a cycle. So you feed and you make bread and then you put it in the fridge or you feed. So then it's like riding a bike. It comes like pretty natural after that. And then you can experiment. I was also postpartum with my 3rd when I started sourdough because we were dead broke and a bag of flour didn't cost that much. And I really wanted to do something with my hands. I really wanted to be creative. I really wanted to feed my family. So all 3 of those things like made the perfect storm of a sourdough, which then by the grace of God.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it did. It did indeed. That's awesome. Cool. Thanks. Okay. So I may be DMing you being like, okay, this thing looks like it's, whatever, but it's supposed to look a little bit terrifying.
It's supposed to look like it. At first, they call it like some kind of phobia where it's like all the bubbles could like make you a little nauseous. And maybe I had I dabbled in that for a second. I dabbled in a little bit. That's too much. Even like if I pour it out, if my brother's at our house, he's like, I can't look at you make sourdough. And I was like, it's but it's alive, no heartbeat, alive, and it's really good bread.
That's it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool deal. Sister, tell me how you placed your faith in Christ.
Well, I grew up in the church. My mom and dad took us to church Sunday, Wednesday. We went to this is nothing like, I don't even want to like dabble in the like tearing down of mega churches, but it was a large church, really hard to get like truly plugged in. But I grew up in the church and grew up to it just being normal to go Sunday morning, Wednesday nights, and thank God. But I didn't find like a community. And then I went to college and went crazy. Like there's no other word. I just went crazy in college. And even like at the end of high school, when I started to like smell freedom a little bit, I was like, that's for me. The world is for me. And I don't know what I was doing on Sundays and Wednesdays, but I'm going to go do Fridays and Saturdays now. So I did my whole college experience, flunked real hard out of college, and then came back and met my husband. And he was not a believer. And we just loved each other so much. And we would go to church. He didn't really understand it. But I was like, well, it's what we do on Sundays, like go to church on Sundays. Isn't that what everyone does? And it was really hard for me to like wrap my head around how people didn't go to church on Sunday. I thought everyone did. And especially because our church was so large in our area that I was like, everyone goes here. And then thank God he gave his life to Christ and was baptized in the church. But still, we were pretty in the world and just checking those boxes. And I remember it was after I had Tanner, and we got married very young and had babies very young, especially in our friend group. So our friends were not getting married, let alone having babies with special needs. So we knew pretty early on. Tanner was diagnosed when he was 2 and like 2.5. I knew at 2 when I was like, I'm going to story time. Like other 2-year-olds aren't scratching their moms, aren't hitting their moms, aren't like running around, no eye contact. It was all of the signs where I was like, this is not what the other 2-year-olds are doing. Let's get them evaluated. And I remember going through that and the Lord just really tugging my heart and telling me like, you cannot do this alone. And as a little bit of a powerhouse, I would like to believe myself to be sometimes, I was like, I can literally do anything. What are you talking about? And I knew that when Tanner was diagnosed, it was strange because I went to the diagnosis appointment knowing, and it's just not like you walk in. I don't know how like the diagnosing culture is now, but I know 9 years ago, or I guess 8 years ago, that we did strenuous evaluations, that it was more than one appointment. It was a lot of so many questionnaires, so many does he meet this, and it would just tear me down every single time. And my identity was completely misplaced, because I was like, every time I checked a box for Tanner that he wasn't meeting some kind of milestone, I took the brunt of it. It was like, he's not doing this because I'm the worst. He's not doing this because I did something wrong. And he's not meeting this milestone, or he's not making eye contact because I didn't do enough in this area. So I took the brunt of all of the hundreds of questionnaires I filled out. And then he was diagnosed with autism, and whatever the scale is, I know now it's a spectrum, but at the time he was like level 2 nonverbal. And I'm like, okay. I left that appointment. The sky wasn't blue anymore. And this is not, I'm not joking. The sky wasn't blue. The grass wasn't green. Every single thing was gray. And I was like, how am I going to put the light back in our life? What is our life going to look like? And I remember just hitting my knees when I got home. And I was like, I don't know what I've been doing. I know you're there. And I know that I accepted you in my life, but I know that I'm not channeling into the Holy Spirit like I need to be, because this actually I can't do on my own. I've never had a world without color, and I don't know what to do now. So ever since then, it really is. And I don't know if it's because motherhood makes you more in tune with like our Father loving us as children, but like Tanner is my whole life, you know, like I move about because of him here, you know, but like my driving force is Jesus. And I knew that I couldn't do it without him. And I was like, I can't take this on my shoulders anymore. I can't fill out another questionnaire and then blame myself when I get home. I can't even like, I felt myself doing it at an IEP meeting the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is all my fault. Even though he's like doing great, you know, like he's like meeting a ton of milestones that a doctor once told me he never would. And then it still wasn't enough for me. And I'm like, oh, heart check, you know, and every single heart check I've done since then, it's because the Lord has checked my heart. So it's been a process, but it really was Tanner. And like that, knowing, whoa, I don't know what I was doing on Fridays and Saturdays, but I know that Monday through Sunday, it's Tanner, and it's not my responsibility. You know, the Lord made him, the Lord made me, and we're going to do this together. So
that's right.
Long story
Amen,
long.
sister. I love it. Amen. Amen. Okay. So that segue is great. So sister, I mean, totally honest with you, and I haven't talked about this on the podcast. I haven't really talked about this on Instagram either. But I did see where you're in the Tylenol study. Right. Can we talk about it a little bit? Do you mind? Okay. Cause here's the thing. And listen, I've told followers and friends that I'm totally an open book. But if I'm honest with you, Courtney, and I write about letters to Lindsay, like I do believe it's from birth. But you know, my hands are open to I don't know.
Right.
We don't know, and so that's I even preface that by saying it's fish and bones. If you don't believe it, it's totally fine, kind of thing. But if I am honest, I was actually talking about this last night, our Autism Moms Bible study online, and a sweet sister just said she was actually talking about advocating and saying, can we do both? Can we be ambitious and advocate and I forgot how she worded it, and you know, still have a Christian, like she was trying to say, can we still be bold? I was like, oh, absolutely. Like, and I said, but our perspective and our gospel lens is for his glory and our good. And we're Christian everywhere we go. But in this conversation, exactly what you're talking about the guilt of the check marks and the list and things like that, there's still something in the back of my mind going, you took Tylenol,
right.
You know? And but the comical part is our neurotypical middle school daughter right now, I had insomnia with her first pregnancy. And you know, if anyone's supposed to be autistic, and she's not. Because I remember the day where, of course, this is first pregnancy, we're new, and we'd only been married for 4 years, and I could not sleep. I am the poster child for, you do not want to be around me if I can't sleep.
Right.
And so I remember the day, because the doctor was my doctor, his name was Dr. Tanner, actually. Dr. Tanner birthed me. So we're sitting in front of this guy who's about to retire, and Colin literally, you know, we're saying she just can't sleep. And he kind of shrugged his shoulders. He was like, well, sorry. And Colin leans forward and was like, no, you don't understand. If you do not give this woman meds, I'm staying here until you tell her what.
So sorry, that is awful though.
I know.
He said insomnia. I was like,
Yeah, I know. And so he looked at us and he said, Tylenol won't hurt the baby. Now that was
right.
almost 14 years ago, whatever. And so all I'm trying to say is I like with Addie, I mean, I was not sleeping and I slept after that. So, but again, too, I don't know if I've talked about this either. I had preeclampsia with Graham, and so I was taking shots. So there's all these different things where you look back and you go, gosh, that was my fault. That was my fault. Now our lived experience is this. Anyway, I just kind of prefacing that. Tell us how that study, your involvement came to be. Tell us how you've walked with the Lord through maybe the revelations that it's brought, all the things.
It is a constant, and I mean every single day, even like going through back and forth with like this conversation, it's me walking that fine line or doing that tango, I like to call it, of it's my fault and it's supposed to happen this way. It was always going to be this way, and don't make yourself feel guilty about it, because there's lots of things that it's funny that you say, because I've got 3. Tanner's my oldest, but then I have a little girl, Charlie, she's 6. And when I tell you, first of all, postpartum depression off the charts. Like I was so upset when Tanner was just diagnosed. I just had Charlie. She was the most colicky baby I have ever seen. If her eyes were open, she was screaming. And so I didn't nurse her. I nursed Tanner until he was 2 years old. And they also said, like, if you nurse, there's less of a chance of autism. And I don't know why that was always in the back of my mind. But with the Tylenol thing, I don't know why, the Lord, but I don't know why I was even prescribed Tylenol. So it wasn't even a suggestion to take it. I was prescribed extra strength Tylenol. And that is the only reason that I could even enter into this lawsuit, is because I had proof that it was given to me by a doctor. And that, with a slew of other things, like birth, genetic disposition, and other external factors, and then Tylenol could all have made this perfect storm to make my boy the boy that he is. And but then with Charlie, I think I did the same thing. I had preeclampsia with her. I did not care about anything going into my body at that point, because I was in total survival mode with Tanner. He was also part of a genetic research study with Mount Sinai, which also came out with all the Tylenol stuff. And I also don't know why at the time I was feeling so, I was like handpicked for that research study. It just kind of fell in our lap, and I was like, I don't need research. I know he has autism, and I know, which is also like a verbiage, and I'm sure that we'll talk about. It is really hard for me to like dance with Tanner's autistic, and also he has autism. Like the verbiage of autism also like goes over my head. But we're in this research study, and I was giving Charlie formula, the cheapest formula that I possibly could. And because, again, survival mode, didn't nurse her, gave her all kinds of medicine, anything to help her colic. If I was dipping her pacifiers in vanilla just for her to take it. And she is perfectly fine, the picture of health. So I don't know why or what. I know that it could be just like predisposition to autism, I'm sure, but I don't know. I don't feel guilty about anything I did for her, because she doesn't show any external factors of anything being wrong, even though I did essentially things wrong, or I would do things differently for her. I have a whole walking checklist in my head always of what I would do differently if Tanner was a baby and I was pregnant, and all over again. And I also think I wouldn't change a thing. So it's really, really hard for me to dance that dance every day, because it's exhausting.
Right.
And people say with autism all the time, like, I believe like in your movement of empowering moms to raise their children up into knowing Christ, being bold in Christ, and doing everything they can with the cognitive ability that they can do it in.
That's right. That's right.
I dance with that all the time. Like, what can Tanner understand? Sometimes he says things and I'm like, oh Lord, forgive him, because I don't know where that came from. So I love your movement that way, but I I struggle with the autism community in a way that it's like, it's this superpower and they're exactly how they should be. And I wouldn't change a thing. Okay, I can say that too. I think Tanner is perfectly and fearfully and wonderfully made, but I would take every single thing he struggles with away, and you can't say that you wouldn't do it for your kid.
Sure, absolutely.
So it's definitely this,
it is.
Autism is a dance.
It is. Gosh, so true. Because what I am, what I struggle with, especially you and I share the whole Instagram like craziness, knowing that we're supposed to be there, but also like, okay, I'm ready to give this up, kind of thing.
Be easier if we did.
I mean, you know, and so, you know, I see the whole like, and I hate to say the word sides. I don't mean, it's perspective. It is your lived perspective. So what I want to be cautious, what I caution parents on is to always see gospel point of view, but to understand that, listen, if it's a coping mechanism that you're saying superpower, that's between you and the Lord. What I would encourage you with is that they do not have an upper level on approaching a spiritual realm. Does that make sense? So just be careful. You're saying like, you know, oh, they're closer to the Lord than any of us. You know, let's be careful there. But on the other side of you know, those that are experiencing profound autism and days are hard. I think days are hard for all of us. Just be careful with your blame shifting. So it's encouraging one another to, whatever our perspective is let's see how we can encourage each other to see what the Lord is doing in that moment. Because what you're saying, and I always have to remind myself is, listen, yes, I would take it away, but he's autistic today. He's likely going to be autistic tomorrow. If they find a cause or a remedy or whatever it is 10 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen until then. But here's what I do know, which is also controversial, Courtney, what I'm about to say is, I do believe that this word is 100% true, trustworthy, and accurate. Therefore, he will stand before God. I don't know the mystery. We don't know the mind of God, and I know that God is kind, but I do know that it is only through Jesus that Graham will be saved. It is not a second door. There is no second door. There is no free pass. And so what we have to understand as parents is we have been given an assignment, right? To raise an autistic disciple for God's glory and our good. So what I want to know from you, how has your you know, in the kitchen, you're making sourdough, you're feeding your family. How has that assignment paired with raising autistic disciple, paired with caring and nurturing and loving sweet Tanner, how has God showed you glimpses, even through maybe the illustration of bread alone? Like how has he met you in both spaces to kind of show you his faithfulness?
Well, I was like gearing up for our conversation. I was like thinking about all of the profound moments that I really stopped and I was like, whoa, that will stick with me. And one of them is Tanner was in a therapy school for a little bit and his teacher was so tough. Like at first I was like, back off my boy, you know, and she was grilling him. And I think that he enjoyed it. Like he was never complaining about going to school. And he was maybe 4, 5 at the time. And I was like, first of all, don't talk to Tanner like that. Yeah. He doesn't like that. And he was like, thanks, Miss, well, I'm going to say her. Well, should I say that? Miss Sarah. I'm going to call her Sarah. But, thanks, Miss Sarah. And I'm like, first, she was mean to you. And like, in my head, she told me, she was like, you are clipping Tanner's wings. And she was tough on me. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I love Tanner. And I never gave him the chance that everyone else did. I was always like, no, he has autism. No, he has autism. Like, you don't understand. He has autism. I never let Tanner meet his full potential. And so now in the kitchen, I feel that way with food. So my son hurts my feelings every day in the most loving way by eating 0 things I make. And it's not without me trying my hardest. And actually my devotional 3 days ago, I was on my face. I posted on Instagram that my dining room turned into holy ground. When I tell you I was pacing, I was on my face praying for this boy, and I believe I will every single day until the day that I die. It is for his eating, and me not ever stopping and ever clipping his wings and ever believing that he won't try a new food, that he is incapable of eating something that I make, or if he's incapable of eating a steak, if he's incapable of eating a little bit of bread. And every time I make bread, I have him like taste a little bit. He's like, sourdough. And I'm like, I know, ain't it good? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, bliss. You hurt my feelings. But always making him not only comfortable with food, like we always want a healthy relationship with food, but for him to feel empowered to try something new in all areas. But my domain is the kitchen. So if he's cutting, he loves the layers of an onion right now. And even though it burns our eyes, real bad, and he has to wear goggles, and it is super cute. He is curious, and I never want to be like, no, just eat Domino's pizza for the rest of your life because that is your safe food. It's
ours too.
If Domino's doesn't come to our house every other day, I swear they'll do a wellness check.
I'm telling you.
They'll be in the driveway. Actually, in the driveway, they were like, "That's a new car," and I'm like, "Don't ever say that again." Okay, please
take out stock. I tell you, somebody we were bringing a little girl home the other night from Addie's from youth group, and she was like, "I live by Domino's. So y'all know what that's at?" We all three go, "Oh, do we know where?"
I know who works there. Okay?
That's right.
They know me. They know where we're at. So don't ask if we know where Domino's is at. Domino's knows where we're at. Right. So every time, and I make pizza, and he just doesn't enjoy it as much, and I want him to enjoy obviously what he's eating, but it's for him to literally feel like a safe food is safe. And I guess I should do like I'm for tough love. I'm in the season of tough love right now because I'm constantly reminded about me not wanting to clip Tanner's wings, and I guess that goes in all areas of his life, or whether it be therapy or school or church, or because sometimes he's like, I don't want to go to church. I'm like, too bad, we're going. And I feel like tough love also always pushing Tanner a little bit past his comfort zone, even as far as autism goes, is good for him, and it's building him to see it every day with new things that he's trying. So I love to get him involved in the kitchen because I know that he has so much more potential than isn't that true?
It's so true. And can I just say, I'm so glad we share that, because also you were talking about the whole dancing autism thing, and then we talked about guilt. Again, perspective. It's all perspective. But we're both millennials.
Yep.
And hey, this is not popular. There are times in the autism world that I'm like, no, we're gonna. Obedience is definitely a thing, right? And it's like that's not always popular. And I'm like, well, I don't want him to run out on the road. So anyways, I'm just so glad to hear the other mom.
I feel like that's super controversial in the autism world, which is why I don't always, I don't know, wear like autism mom as like this huge badge of honor, because I feel like then it can be, there's a lot of times where Tanner was younger, and I feel like I've mourned that season of a little boy with autism is cute, but then a 9-year-old who's flapping and out in public. Like, I'm just also so proud of my husband. I don't know what it's like to be a dad's only son who has special needs, and you grieve this idea of what your son was going to be. And I know that my husband went through a grieving period of our son, but we were at the store the other day, and my son is flapping, and he's excited, and he's just dancing around. He's like doing the zoomies, and my husband didn't even flinch. And there was a season where it's like, calm down, and yes, obedience is what I'm like, yes. But also, he's flopping around us. He's not eloping. Times that he's eloped, you see him, he has an air tag on him. Okay. Because there was a season where he was lost, and he was at the zoo one time, and he was with those sea lions, and I knew he was with the sea lions, but we were on the other side of the zoo. And I was like, if he's with those sea lions, I'll meet Jesus soon, because I'm not running all the way over there. And if he's not over there, oh, it was awful. So yeah, he's an eloper, and there's a sense of obedience. And I know that like hopped around that, but there is such a love that a parent has for their kid.
Yes.
And I love him enough to discipline him, and I love him enough to not accept certain behaviors for him.
Sure.
And I believe that he's better for it, because my husband and I were very tough love, and we believe in discipline because we love our kids so much. Even my daughter messed up as bad as a 6-year-old who does nothing wrong could possibly do it. And I said, I love you so much. so much more than I will ever accept this behavior.
Yeah.
And that is how we parent. And I don't believe that's the norm for the autism community. And I see a lot of videos of moms posting a video and it's there. And I went through a season of my son hitting me. Like it was the hardest season of my whole life. He would scratch my face and he couldn't communicate, but I wasn't going to let him hit me. And this mom posted a video of her son just hitting. And I'm, oh my gosh, I grieved for her. I was like, I know that season. And the comments were just like, this is just disobedience. And while I can understand that, if you haven't lived it and you don't know what to do until you're in that moment. And thank God my son has come out of that and he's not a hitter anymore. But there's so many different ways to discipline kids with autism. But I believe discipline is so important.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So hey, can we talk about fatherhood and marriage? Can we? Okay, because I know, because I think maybe this episode will land around Valentine's Day, maybe not. But you did post a sweet reel with you and tell me husband's name, Brian. Ryan, that's right. Okay, I knew. And so, but okay, let's fatherhood for a second, because you just said, the grocery store and the flapping and then just what have you, I'm interested to know if you've seen the same thing, because we have, our older daughter Addie, so I got to watch Colin parent her and, the fatherly thing, and also just knowing his personality and knowing, like I told you, like, we grew up a certain way because we were, millennials, and now you just think this is how we parent. But I've witnessed the Lord do a work in my husband's heart and personality and way he disciplines that is only the Holy Spirit. Now, not perfect, like we're both not perfect, right? But just going on the lines of what you talked about, for a man to navigate that, and you talk about, respect, and think, but it's when you're raising an autistic kid, it's a different, you have to go through something. I mean, the grant process and all that, but have you seen the Lord work in your husband's life when it comes to, gosh, this has got to look and got to be a lot different when it comes to approaching our kiddos?
Right. Lord knows that Ryan has come such a long way, and only by the grace of God. Because when we had Tanner, we were young, and my husband is a huge sports guy. So our gender reveal, we had millennial. So we had this big gender reveal for our first baby at 22 years old. And it was footballs and basketballs. And I know that you don't have to have a son on the spectrum for them not to be interested in sports, but like we are a sports family, and you have this idea of coaching t-ball and being, like at practice every single night. And then something happens, like a diagnosis like that, and you realize that those interests aren't going to be for him. Actually, they're going to be a lot more complicated. And just the social aspect of what your son can do now is totally different than even being on a team in general, So to my husband's credit, he is a force. Like, he is a rock solid foundation that does not sway easy. And I know just by his silence that he went through a grieving period. It was never a loud grieving period. It was never one that, we were affected by, but I could just tell he was. And we were at the pool one day, and someone who worked there didn't realize. My son is a fish also, because we were in Florida.
We love water too.
It's very important for me to get him swim lessons. So he is a fish. He loves the water. But he also flaps, and he gets super excited when he's in the water. So this worker, the lifeguard, I think, at the pool didn't understand that Tanner flapping isn't him drowning, and she was getting super frustrated. She didn't know what to do with him. And I'm like, leave him alone. He's in the shallow end, first of all, and he's massive. He's not, like, we have him. And she kind of got abrasive with us, and then my husband got abrasive, and I'm like, yeah. But then I was like, I'm like, yeah. But then I was like, I'm so proud of you. You never he never is like, Tanner, stop. Tanner, don't do this. Like, don't be less because the world doesn't understand is how my husband's perspective is always. And although, yes, he grieved that he was never going to be the t-ball coach, he also likes to meet Tanner exactly where he is. And sometimes I didn't even understand it. I'm like, no, like, we need to push Tanner to do this. And he was like, I'm gonna partake in Tanner's interests, and I want him to do I want him to do things he loves, and I want to do them with him. And I was like, oh my Lord, I love you so much.
Oh my gosh,
I'm just super impressed by his ability, and really a husband's ability, to just meet a child with autism exactly where they are, because I know it's hard if your expectation was never that.
That's right.
You don't expect your child to come out and have a diagnosis like autism and have social inabilities, not inability, I hate that word, social hurdles.
Yeah.
But and you just push them and you meet them where they are, and you don't grieve in front of them, and you don't make them seem like a burden. And my husband has never done that. And I've way followed his lead now, when at first I didn't understand.
So good. You're so right. Yeah, Colin the same. And that, you know, yeah. We have three. Yeah, we have three. So middle school daughter, and then Graham, and then Levi's our youngest.
Okay.
So it's a again, let's use the word dance. With having Levi as our third, very into football, very all boy type of thing, and then seeing Graham not be able to participate, but Graham just goes with the flow. And loves watching his brother, loves all the canteen snacks that he gets at his football games, that he gets to sit in the bleachers and eat. And so that is, that's been a dance of watching, and just being able to see our family dynamic change over seasons, and how the Lord has been with us totally in each of us, going, just lean in. Just like, if you spend your whole entire day, Lara, or days thinking, I wish Graham could do this. I wish he could do that. I wish he could play football. Just lean in. He loves what he loves, and he's talking with strangers, which is probably not all a great thing, but we're right by. But he's meeting people, and he's babbling.
So cool to see.
Yes, isn't it? So, like, God, again, in his sovereignty, is going, I got Graham right where I want him. I want him in the bleachers, so that the bubble that he does not have, that you do have, Lara, will then be able to meet people, and then gospel conversations can happen. So it's kind of like one of those, like, just sit back and let the autistic kid lead the way.
Literally, just stop putting an expectation on him that he doesn't have for himself.
Right. He is where he's supposed to be. Okay, so let's talk about marriage just for a second. How has it? Like, diagnosis happens the days after. How, because we will celebrate. Man, I used to could name how many years now. I think we're coming up on 18, 19. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, so what's been the biggest marriage, let me just ask you this. How do you make time?
Yeah.
How do you, I don't even know how the question, just how do you,
I certainly outpunted my coverage with Ryan, because he
love that.
Where I am, like I said before, even we started recording, was my baseline is frazzled. Like, I know that I appear sometimes cool, calm, and collected, but if I call Ryan, like, feel like I don't need no man, I could never. I literally could never. If the remote's gone, I call Ryan. If something's like, everyone's like, oh, my husband can't find anything, I was like, I'm your husband, because I can't. If something's on the fridge, I call Ryan. If this is gonna sound bad, this is gonna really expose me, but like, if like certain things in the laundry are like misplaced, I'm like, where is this? Where's my sock? Where's this? I'd call him all the time, and he was in a big meeting when I was like, my computer won't turn on, and he was like, okay, Courtney. So he is like always very unfazed. And if he has, even in our hardest moments where we were lost and in the world and confused and young and had a baby who wasn't talking, he loved me the most, and he always has. He has been really good at like the time it takes to put in a relationship, because especially if you have someone you're taking care of a child and loving a child with special needs, because loving a child with special needs can almost take it out of you, because you don't know who else will love them. You don't, at least this is what I went through, is no one, and I guess it to be true, no one will love Tanner the way that I do. No one will love Tanner the way that Ryan does. So we must give all of our love to him, so we can fill the spaces that other people won't be able to give him. Like, people can love Charlie, and people can love Remy, and people will love them. I don't know if other people will love Tanner that way. So we must give it all to him. And that was my perspective. at the very beginning. And so there, I didn't have any more love for Ryan. So when he sat me down one night where I was a tornado in the house and I was Mount St. Helen all over the place, and I was angry and overstimulated and confused, he literally went into the room, locked the door, and said, "Talk to me." And I was spewing all of this, like how wrong everything is, how much he does wrong, how much he doesn't do, when he literally does everything. How much he doesn't do. And he was like, "I'm going to stop you right there. You know that I love you more than I love the kids." And I was like, I was like, literally impossible. And he was like, "No, I love you," or "I love Jesus." And he was always, "I love Jesus and I love you and I love the kids." And that is how it's always going to be. And I was like, first of all, you didn't even go to church as long as I did. So don't church blame me, buddy. And it was like this thing where I didn't understand it. And now, because I've seen him execute it in such a way that it makes me love him first too. And therefore I love our kids better now. So it's when you have this respect for your spouse and you love them and you know that that relationship is so important. We actually just started a Bible study last night at our church, the 5 love languages. And I've had that book on my bookshelf for 10 years. I got it when we got married, never opened it. And now we get to do that Bible study together. And it was, "Thank you for doing this for your family," is what the leader of the Bible study said. And I was like, gosh, we walk in there thinking that we're doing it for us, that pouring in to our love tanks is for us, but really it is for our family. Because Ryan loves me the way that he does, I love our kids better. And because we make such a sacred time for each other, like I started breaking my phone, and I don't know if you break your phone.
I'm a thrower, so yes.
Okay. No, not like a real brick, but it locked my phone. You are.
I spilled the tea on that one. Yep. Totally. I mean,
actually, I frisbee that sucker right off.
That's right.
So yeah, praise God. Me too.
Yeah.
But no, I lock everything off of my phone because I know that whatever is happening on my phone, whatever is happening in the outside world will just exhaust me and I will have nothing left to give. So it's creating boundaries where Ryan is my priority and therefore our family is like reaping the fruits of that labor. And I only knew that from Ryan because I tell you, I'm probably going to leave here and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm in a big business meeting." I was like, "Well, I talked to my friend for an hour."
Oh, I love it
too.
That's right. Oh man, I love it. Yeah. Just, when, one of I call the collaterals, being everything that the diagnosis touches or affects kind of thing. And so, marriage is one of those, siblings, extended family, finances, health, career, all the collaterals. And so, as I'm writing the letters to Lindsay, this part, collaterals, like I'm weeping writing the marriage part, just because of, gosh, has God just totally kept us through. I mean, he is the best person on the face of the planet. And so, and I am totally not, as far as like, like you said, I love you alive. I'm married up totally.
I'm so proud of that.
Absolutely.
Your husband does everything, like, for sure.
That's right. He does. Like I have to travel a lot throughout the year, and I have noticed I take much longer getting to my gate because usually when I'm with Colin, I just zone out.
Right.
Just let me just follow you. You make all the and
praise God for being like that.
I mean, Yeah. And so, anyway, so I'm writing that letter to her, and just writing the line, when things are hitting the fan, man, like when hurt has happened through other people's comments, like you talking about at the pool, and just the absolute, the bad days where the anxiety, the weight on my chest, I have to go curl up in the fetal position and he has to take over, and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I just am so thankful to the Lord for the gift of marriage. Because like you said, close the door and he's there, because the Lord gave us this covenant to be able to, when I'm down, he is my constant encouragement. And so just grateful to the Lord for knowing that we would have a kid on the autism spectrum, but also knowing marriage. And I do want to stop. Just let me encourage, if you're a single mom listening, man, does God have absolute grace and it sees you, knows you, and so I want to encourage you that it's not you're not any less or anything like that just because marriage is a thing, but he is keeping you also, and so. But anyway, sister, what is, as we kind of wrap up, like what's something the Lord is showing you this season right now? And anything really doesn't have to be autism, because to be honest with you, if we want to end not on autism, because what I'm also seeing online through different parents is we're still people. Like you and I, like we still have businesses, we still have career, we still have friends, we still have our interests that we love. And so you know, we and I almost had this thought yesterday. I was like, I wonder if I should start another Instagram, because though I love making disciples, I that is where I'm called to. I do got other stuff going on that I love talking nonprofit. I love talking whatever. So what is something, just as Courtney, the follower of Christ, like what is the Lord teaching you in this season?
Definitely my word for this year was relationship, which is why I was so excited for our conversation. And I'm so excited for like what the year has to be, but like real relationships, really putting your phone down, having dinner with someone, having a conversation, really having a conversation with your husband about something outside of the kids. You know,
That's right.
like
That's right.
really honing in on those conversations and those relationships, and knowing how important it is and how you need, like we were talking earlier, a protection and around your circle and your friends. And we last year took a massive leap of faith only by my husband's leadership of switching churches. And we did it because of Tanner, because we had we had friends at church and those relationships I never thought would fizzle out. And then we switched churches, and it has made me, because we needed a different place for Tanner, it has made me so grateful for certain relationships that the Lord had pruned for us, that we now get to see other relationships blossom that have really filled us and inspired us, and to just lean into those relationships, because the Lord is in the hand of even the simplest things. Like every single thing I'm always tuning into, like, that's the Lord's doing, and that's his work right there. It is undeniable. And that is all in my relationships, and how he has put people in my path, just like you, and social media, and really using it for his glory, because it is so for my good too. So the relationships that are cultivating in this season are so important to me, and to really, I don't know, to really listen to every conversation and to leave conversations if they're not glorifying. So that is definitely my whole thing, is I want fruit.
That's right.
Friendships. I want fruit friendships.
That's right. Absolutely. I say all the time, and I'm not trying to be like a snob when I say this. I'm trying to help like people understand my personality also, but my best conversations begin and end talking about what he's doing and who he is. And that doesn't mean that we don't swap a sourdough recipe in between there, or we don't talk about, you know, what TV show we're watching or the funny reel that we came across. That does, I mean, I'm not trying to be legalistic here, but but reminding each other to keep running the race.
Because life is tough.
So hard.
And it is really important now, especially since we had switched. Like, storms are coming, you know. If you're not linking arms with someone who is got your back, and you have, you know, it takes a village. You have to have a village, you have to be a village also.
That's right.
Like really pour into your neighbors, and to really just show like the light of Jesus in everything that you do, because then fruit will come from that.
That's right.
And it's just really exciting. That's what I believe this year is for. So if things are getting pruned, because the Lord told me that we should prune them, and that makes me a little nervous, then that's okay. But
it hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
It hurts. But I feel like I'm in such a position where I literally have no qualms with certain things if it's the Lord. You know, like I tried it my way, you know.
That's right.
That was crazy.
That's right. Bring it on. Bring it on. If it's more of you, Jesus, I want it.
That's right.
Cool deal. Well, lastly, sister, If there is, or there will be, what I call Lindsay, which is a persona of a mom who just received, or dad too, there's dad too, but who just received their child's autism diagnosis. If you were to speak to that Lindsay listening right on the days, months after, even a year after, what is something you want to tell her in that season after receiving a piece of paper that has a bunch of jargon on it that we don't understand? What would you say to her?
Anytime it always goes to autism as a spectrum. Like when I first got a diagnosis, it was, if you have seen one autistic kid, you have seen them all, and that could not be the furthest from the truth. So just know your child, just love him, and just know that a piece of paper will only bring what you allow the help will be. Like if the paper was just an open door to whatever I said could walk through it. And autism is a spectrum. So when my son was first diagnosed, they were like, you need to do this, this, and this. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. But that autism box, Tanner was a square peg trying to fit into a circle mold, and it just wasn't working. So if you just love your child first, outside of a diagnosis that you have received, everything else will fall into place. That is what I always say is, and I made many of mistakes at a playground introducing Tanner as he has autism or he's autistic, or, instead of letting Tanner just be Tanner. That's right. If I just let him be Tanner and not just Tanner with autism, then those first couple of years would have been a lot smoother.
That's so
love your child outside of a diagnosis, and then wherever he falls, just reset.
That's right. Tell me one more time. You just said about the piece of paper that the piece of paper is only what you allowed.
It was an open door, and anything that I allow come through it is what will come through it, because they were like, oh, OT, speech. And I was like,
right.
Speech? Baby, he ain't talking, So we're going to focus on OT. I wish I would have done that, and then that, I feel like, empowered him, and then he felt more comfortable. But they're going to throw a lot at you in a diagnosis, and it's a lot of information. And I left like cross-eyed, and I was like, well, what do I do now? They tell me what to do now, but then I don't know what to do now. So it really is just an open door, and whatever walks through it is because you allowed it, and it is only for your child's benefit first. So everything I did was because I told me to do. But then I learned, that Tanner is not A, B, C, and D. Like they say,
exactly.
Tanner is Tanner first. So
right. I love that. Thank you for that. That's gold. That's gold. Where can people find you, friend?
Acts of Sourdough. If I'm out and they're like, are you Acts of Sourdough? And I was like, sure am.
Sure am.
It's Courtney. My name is Courtney. I do bake bread, but yes, it's Acts of Sourdough, Courtney Moody. It's on Instagram, Facebook, email.
Love it. Love it. Friend, thanks so much for today. It was. Praise the Lord just for how he's redeeming the internet for good.
Yes.
Be able to connect us. That's right. To connect us to everything. Go find Courtney on Instagram and share this podcast with somebody that can be encouraging. But Courtney, thank you so much for being on the Raising Autistic Disciples podcast.
Thank you.